You were recently on a podcast with Jacob Winograd, the Daniel 3 Biblical Anarchy podcast, or at least
Yes.
I heard you recently. I think it was sometime this year. And you talked a little bit about your personal journey of, where you are in terms of faith. So you have a relationship with Christianity, and you could go in a little bit with that, but I wanted to ask you, was there any connection for you between those beliefs and libertarianism?
Absolutely. So for those who don't know, I was raised in the Messianic Jewish faith, which is basically Jews who believe that we're no longer waiting for Messiah. Christ was Messiah, is the long story short. I guess an even shorter way of saying it is we worship Christ the way the original Christians did. The apostles and the original Christians were mostly just Jews who believed that this was Messiah. That's what Messianic Judaism is. Over the years, I have become less, I don't really believe in the Abrahamic faiths anymore, in that interpretation of God. But I also, after I kind of becoming a default agnostic atheist for a while, but it always hit me that there has to be a purpose to this. It makes zero sense whatsoever, the idea that there is this meaningless universe that happened for no particular reason, which just seemed to, for some reason, create out of it this species of humans who are constantly seeking fulfillment and purpose and care about everything and are hyper emotional and everything matters. That doesn't make any sense that would be the case. I've kind of settled on the idea that I may one day be enlightened to what the truth is, but I've kind of settled on the idea that in the same way that the bacteria that make up our gut microbiome have neither the cognitive nor perceptive nor articulable ability to understand or explain what the bigger thing that they're a part of. I suspect that we're in a similar situation, that try as we might, we just don't have the sensory or the cognitive ability to even understand what this is all about. And that's kind of a piece I've made with that. Certainly open to enlightenment in the future if there is such a thing. But going back to how that settles on how my Christian faith helped with libertarianism, I was very much a no king but Christ anarchist libertarian. Once I realized the folly of neoliberalism and then the folly, neoliberalism and neoconservatism, and the folly of statism in general, it really took me back to the story in the Bible of how the Israelites cried out for a king. Here they had the creator of the universe providing all their needs, giving them a system of a sort of voluntary governance based on the covenant he had created with them. And they looked around and said, yeah, but all these other people got kings and look at all the prestige they have and look at everything they have. And God warned them and said, here are literally listed out. Here are all the things that will happen to you and those who come after you if you choose the king. And they went, yeah, that sounds good. We want a king. So he gave him a king and all the things that he warned them about. And that really, reading that, and then also reading Romans 13, which many statists use as an excuse why we should just allow government to do anything and be fine with it. It's actually the opposite. Keep in mind, Paul was in prison when he wrote this, and he had to be very careful with how he was writing things. But if you read between the lines, he's saying, we need to respect the godly authority. And then he lays out point by point what godly authority is. Well, line up what he's describing as godly authority that we must submit to with what the government's doing. It's nearly a mirror opposite of what the government does. What I take from that is that anything that falls short of that, we should not be submitting to, and we should be not complying with. So, no, that was very much, I was very much still a Messianic Jew when I came into this belief in terms of governance and things like that. That was a major bedrock of my journey into that.
That's really interesting. I mean, we have, I don't know if you can't read my hat, but a lot of people have seen me wear it. And I had it on at Freedom Fest. It says Jesus is Lord, and it's got Caesar crossed out. And, yes. The implication there is that a lot of times when we say Jesus is Lord, and it's a personal reflection of who we, our relationship with God, right? And, we're pledging allegiance to Jesus. And people don't realize that is literally in the first century was supposed to always include, but that means Caesar isn't. Like, this is the only Lord. This isn't like, hey, I'm going to have Caesar and Jesus and, the render unto both. That wasn't how that statement's supposed to work.
We're not allowed to. we're literally
well,
not
right.
allowed to have other lords or gods before him. That's the whole point of it, right? And that was exactly it was funny because I would always hear, people that didn't believe in government, that they were these godless, whatever. And I thought the more I read it, I'm like, actually, this lines up and even as someone now who it no
Yeah.
longer connects with the Abrahamic faiths, I still believe that. If I believed in the Abrahamic faiths, I would still 100% line up with what I believe in terms of governance. Like
Yeah.
Jesus, whether you believe that he was truly Messiah or not, he was sitting there laying down a very clear message, which is why the ruling structures didn't like him, was because he was saying, this is all garbage. We're supposed to
Yeah.
follow God. That's it.